As many of you have likely seen, we have an enhanced risk today for tornadoes, specifically strong, possibly strong tornadoes. This is right in the Houston region. You can see our cities here. You're going to get Houston right there, Lufkin. You have some other regions in Texas involved, but the Houston metro is actually our main worry for this setup. So we have a all hazards risk, but primarily tornadoes. You can see we have wind and hail, but tornadoes are the main threat. Right in this bullseye, you have that region where you can see some stronger tornadoes. And today is not it's not really out of the blue, but we talked about this in the last video. But we're gonna look again a little more in depth right now. So if we look at our surface map, here's our current observations. This is 16Z, so about an hour ago. I also have some radar imagery we'll look at in a second. You can see our surface observations. I can zoom in here a little bit. You can see we have a region of colder air behind here. So probably well, first of all, we should find our low pressure. You can see our rotation pretty clearly indicates our low is right around here. We have a station here reading 1009.9 millibars. We have officially dropped below 1010. And you can place our fronts accordingly. Probably put a warm front somewhere here. We have warmer air, some colder air up here, warmer air down here. You might even be able to drape it up here somewhere if you really wanted to, but just for right now, we're going to say our warm front's right about here. We also have a cold front back here. You can see our 55 or 48 compared to a station somewhere around 71 here, 65 here. So you put a cold front right around where you see that wind shift right here, about right here. You can see the temperature gradient as well. Probably put somewhere around here, but you can see our slight wind shift. We already have some storms forming along or ahead of that front. And regarding flow, in the last video we talked about how the southerly flow is not incredibly strong. However, it has strengthened due to this stronger low pressure. You see we have 10 knots here, some widespread 5s and 10s. Here's a 15. We have some stronger flow around this low pressure that will help to initiate storms later on. Now let's start looking at our models. I'm going to get 500 millibars here. This is at 12Z, the RAP model. Actually, I have 15Z. So here's 15Z RAP model right in. That's 9 a.m. Central. You can see very well here. There's plenty of diversions. Actually, this is at 250. Switch. Oh, here's 250. I have 500 is what I want though. You see this divergence here. So you can see our wind vectors are beginning to open up. That means we're getting rising motion. This divergence aloft leads to rising motion at the surface. 700 millibars. Again, this is just a big old and pretty well-defined trough here. It's the real issue. During 850, again, same thing. You have that low pressure there, but also temperature advection, moist air. Let's look at this 850 moisture. Very, very moist air here. Temperature advection, warm air advection all across this region. Again, at the surface, we have that surface low forming, and it will be strengthening as you go on. Check the wrap model here. You can see that just gets stronger throughout the day there, reaching underneath 1008 millibars even there too. So regarding instability, real quick, I'd also like to let me find I'm gonna find the for the sounding from earlier this morning. Let's click down here near Houston. Here's as close we can get. This is Louisiana. You can already see, besides this nocturnal inversion here, we have a very moist air mass already up to about 700 millibars here. Again, this is a little bit removed. This is in Louisiana. You can see that shear as well. Look at our SPC. This is somewhere near that, near the boundary of that enhanced risk. So not super far removed. You can see that shear right there is already very well defined. If we have an air soundings, similar story here. Moist air mass all the way up to about 775 here. Let's see, southern Texas probably is not nearly as good. You can see a lot of Cape down here as well. I wouldn't ignore that first dew point soundings there, but again, moisture has been advecting into the region. So it's on the surface map. We already have near 100% relative humidity in all of these locations here. So moisture is definitely here and will certainly help fuel these storms. And as we saw in this sounding, again, the one in Louisiana, you can see you have that nocturnal inversion, but past that we have some Cape in the lower levels especially. And as this moves up to the QT, you'll get some more Cape throughout the day. We'll look at the soundings here on the RAP model as well. We talked about we have that low pressure coming off, from Texas, and this will be strengthening throughout the day. You get storms initiating right around lunchtime. If we look at HRRR, let's check our reflectivity. So here's our current reflectivity. You can see it on the radar here as well. Maybe even a little bit more than is on the HRRR. You see a wide variety of thunderstorms, and as these kind of merge together, you might get a few. You're going to get some rotating updrafts, some supercells there, which very well might produce tornadoes. You can just see a lot of storms here. Storms initiating again right around 16Z, right now. 17, they start to really combine and be stronger right around noon here. You have those stronger storms, and they just continue to move through. Probably the most dangerous time being right here around 3 o'clock Central Time, 4 o'clock, maybe 5 o'clock, going into dinner time. See just a wide variety of very intense thunderstorms, and they will be rotating. We can see on our high resolution ensemble forecast here, we look at our probabilities of rotating updrafts, updraft helicity here. See right around 0Z, right around 6 o'clock, yeah, right around 5, 4, 5, 6, you can see bullseye, 50% updraft helicity. HRRR shows even more updrafts rotating. See that 50% bullseye right there that goes on into the nighttime hours. So you'll definitely have a lot of rotating storms in this system. Again, looking at the RAP model, let's take a sounding here. I'll just use the precip just to be in our region. Let's take a sounding just of right now so you can see how the environment currently is for these storms. You can see we do have a few. There's a severe thunderstorm warning here near Dallas Fort Worth. There's a supercell right there. You can see the couplet already. They already have some rotating storms. Let's also actually let's take the name for this. It's sounding here right around 21Z in this bullseye again, because really this is just where all of the storms are going to be, is right in this little region. So we have our, as I said, we have our cold front draping behind. We move backwards here. Here's like our current surface observations. You have that cold front back here, right on right here. You have that cold front behind. Then you also have this region right in the open warm sector. You have lots of storms coming off of the Gulf, forming right there because of the moisture differences. But again, lots of moist air mass here already. You have that slight difference there, and here's where storms are forming. Then again, you're going to have that cold front move through as well. So you're going to have this little region right here, cold fronts. You have frontal boundaries, which will help in increase vorticity as well. We just have a large variety of possible thunderstorms here. Here's our forecast soundings. Actually, here's our 17Z sounding. This is our current area according to the RAP model. So these storms right here, you see down here, our sector right here. These storms are currently in this kind of environment, and very interesting. I already have some cape here. A little bit of capping still to be broken though. Then if we look into our next sounding here, later in the night, 21Z, you can see almost a mothership appearance here. You can really see that curvature in the photograph, very nicely defined. Even the one back here, you had that curvature. 3 cape just wasn't in this photograph. You can see it increasing here. And speaking of 3 cape, let's look at the NAM model, or sorry, RAP model here. Look at 3 cape, you can see that starting to invect northward, especially closer to the coastline. If you look at surface vorticity as well, you should see a few, especially later on, right around 0Z, you get that vorticity boundary butted up right next to that 3 cape boundary. Again, if you can't see the vorticity boundary, I can't zoom in anymore, but see the darker greens right there, that indicates that vorticity boundary. Not to mention, again, that's the cold front, but it is that vorticity boundary there. And those combined will help to form tornadoes. And obviously, you have that, the cape will help with hail and all that. And typically, I wouldn't say this is amazing sounding, but I do think the RAP is messing with this one a little bit. The lapse rates, and not amazing, but you will have instability throughout this photograph. And just due to the sheer amount of storms, if we look at the HRRR again, and just a lot, there's storms really everywhere. You're going to get plenty of tornadoes in this region, and right in that enhanced bullseye there. You're going to get plenty of tornadoes because of, again, the cold front, the multiple supercells forming off of the Gulf of Mexico. Right in this region, you're just going to see a lot of bad weather. Move forward as well, once that cold front really begins to take into effect, you can see you have pretty well defined MCS, but you could still have plenty of rotating updrafts throughout this thing. That's part of why we have this, again, pretty broad 5% tornado region over here in Louisiana as well. Also why we have more of a wind shift to the east. So again, wind damage more so in Louisiana, but throughout this whole region, you're going to have these QLCSs, plenty of supercells, really just huge cores that could most certainly manage to keep up some hail. You can see afterwards the threat seems to diminish there a little bit. That makes sense. We look forward to our day 2 outlook again. We have that similar risk, but nothing nearly as worrying. Just a little marginal region there. But more intense storms are earlier in the day, more so right around evening into dinner time, evening into nighttime, all that. Right here around, this is 4 p.m. Central Time. That's our main time of interest, really. So we'll keep an eye on that. But again, that's the main thing with this forecast. Again, always look at what the SPC is saying. They have a whole bunch of information here if you want more information. Again, more information about the Cape. They didn't increase. They also did talk about these long photographs. We looked at our sounding, but it wasn't the best thing. Uh, we looked at our sounding here, and there's no sounding right there in Houston, unfortunately. Don't have a great look at this environment. This one near Louisiana, the LCH one here, you can really see that low level instability is already built into place. Don't believe they. Oh, here you already have 3K, but not really anything there. The main issue right now for this photograph, or sorry, sounding, is the lack of any instability right very nearest portions of the surface. You can see you have that very stout inversion right there. As daytime heating goes on, you should see that QT look a little more like this. We get the instability right there, and you should end up with a good environment for supercells. You can already see you already have this curvature here. That's actually 0 to 1 as well. For 0 to 1, SRH is already in 242. 0 to 3 is 300 here. So you already have a very good tornado environment building up. The issue right now is you just need to have some instability in that very lowest level of the QT, but that will be happening, and daytime heating will take into effect, and you will begin to get that tornado risk pretty soon here. So, shorter video today, a shorter recap here, but we're going to be having this dangerous day, especially for that Houston region. 4 million people in that enhanced risk right there in Houston, region of the Houston metro as well. So, very potentially dangerous setup here brewing today. So, do keep yourself safe. With that, it's the end of this forecast. Thank you for watching. Again, stay safe out there and have a good one.